horror, mayhem, suicide. Some of the richest locations in the U.S. are also rich with hauntings, possessions, and curses. In this series, we will bring you the people, the stories, and the drama that make up homegrown American ghost stories. Episode 1, The Red Lady. Huntington College, Montgomery, Alabama, and the first sighting of the Red Lady. 4th floor, Pratt Hall. Many a ghostly story, real or perceived, typically originate from the folklore of foreign countries. But not this one. This ghost story is homegrown and as American as apple pie. Our first ghost sighting occurred on the premises of Huntington College. Huntington is located in Montgomery, Alabama, in the year 1864. Many happenings were going on in the country at this time, to include Abraham Lincoln's second term and more prominently, the Civil War. At Huntington College, the cannons of the North fighting the South could be heard for miles around. But the school went on, as usual, as people learned to live in conflict. One night, after lights out at Huntington College, the girls on the upper floor of Residence Hall, known as Sky Alley, noticed a glaring red light emerging from the cracks under their doors. This had never occurred before, which startled some and left others refusing to open their doors to check it out. But ultimately, curiosity always kills the cat. Curiosity gets the best of us, and the students, one at a time, began to open their doors and investigate. The curious dorm residents peeked from their doorways to witness an ethereal lady in an exquisite red gown. She carried a red parasol, gliding up and down the corridor, up and down this particular corridor. Seeing this raised the hairs on the back of the necks of the female students, because this woman never appeared to touch the ground. She actually levitated. The apparition radiated a red light and seemed obvious to the onlookers as somebody who was a ghost. She maintained a forward stare and continued her patrol of the hallway until daybreak the next morning. She seemed to appear as if she was living the life she left behind prior to death as a student or faculty member of the college. Those terrified students were never again quite at ease at night, waiting for morning to arrive, never sure if the ghost would return. But she never did. She never did, however, and there was never any satisfactory explanation for her appearance to start with. The Red Lady was a thing of the past, left behind with the building she haunted in Tuskegee. Until that is, a young girl called Martha by some and Margaret by others moved to the campus on one fall day. You see, Martha was born to a wealthy family in Greenwich, New York. Her parents were both natives of Alabama. Martha's father left specific instruction in his last will and testament that his daughter, Martha, was to attend his mother's alma mater of Huntington College. Pretty bad when you get sent to some place that you don't want to go because of a will. But Martha did it. But Martha had plans of her own, which did not include attending the all-girls college. You see, long before her father's death, Martha wanted to participate in the field of science alongside her brother and father. She admired him. It was her father whom Margaret believed was on the cutting edge of a new cure for the dreaded disease at the time called cholera. Martha surmised that any education away from home and her father and family would pale in comparison. So while she did not want to leave her New York home, which who lives in a big city, wants to go to the South. Martha knew that she had to follow her father's wishes if she wanted to be successful in life as he was in death. Martha complied with the wishes of her dead father, feeling she had no other choice. Martha's arrival on the southern campus of Huntington drew immediate notice from her new fellow classmates, as she had a particular fondness for the color red, which she displayed proudly in everything from her choice of clothing to the decor in her fourth-floor room in Pratt Hall. Pratt Hall in the future will be the place where the most hauntings will take place. She brought with her, among other things from New York, a crimson bedspread, her red rug, and even her accessories were all red. It was believed at this particular time in history that those dainty silk-like red bed items formed something akin to a brothel. They thought she was more like a madam.
You're watching MNN, the men's channel.
Something to be used in the tricks of the trade of a madam. Not a normal woman, but Martha loved the color red. Always an outsider on campus, Martha did not make friends easily. Some might even say she actively discouraged her classmates whenever they attempted to talk to her or befriend her. And I'm sure you've seen people like that before. They are quiet. They love to be to themselves. And this was Martha. She was, after all, a New Yorker at heart. And she was not ready to call the Southerners of Alabama her home or hometown people. She also was a shy girl. And some say, having heard she was wealthy, they could easily have mistaken her shyness for disdain. So whatever the reason, she grew on campus to become a very unfriendly girl with no friends. Her southern cool demeanor made it hard for her to keep roommates. As people began to shun her, her gloom seemed to permeate the room, dissuading anyone there with an inclination to stay. This was very sad for this northern girl. She had been abandoned by her previous roommate. The one person on campus she had believed to be her only friend decided to move off of campus. Now, not to get away from Margaret, but just to move. It was then that Margaret allegedly formed the habit of wandering into rooms where the other girls were congregating, but her presence cast a chill upon the group, and they would soon find flimsy reasons to exit the room. Then, with a feeling of alienation from all humankind, she would return to her solitary sleeping quarters, where she would wrap herself in her red bedspread and retreat from the whole world. This girl was a loner. She had created loneliness by the things she did, but didn't like it much. As time went on, Martha's behavior allegedly became even more strange. She would wait until the lights were out, and then she would visit one dormitory after another, never saying a word, but staring into space, as if she were there in a trance. And this spooked a lot of people. As time went by and passed, she took to walking up and down the halls during the darkest hours of the night. Often she would alarm the girls by opening and closing their doors, then hurrying away to resume her pitiful promenade up and down the hallway. But watch out. As the weeks passed and no roommate for Martha could be found, the president of Pratt Hall agreed to give it a try and stay in the same room with Martha. But nobody could stay with Martha. After a concerted effort to befriend the lonely girl, even the president of Pratt Hall also found it too overwhelming to be around Martha. She said Martha had a morose atmosphere, and she decided to leave before she too became despondent. Now, you know it's bad when you can't get even the president that is in charge of your dorm to stay with you. Martha entered the room just as the president was preparing to leave. Overcome by the rejection of the only friend she believed she had on campus, Martha bitterly warned her that she would regret her decision to move, and soon. But now, no one in Pratt Hall could stand to be in the same room with Martha. Like I said before, her presence seemed to cast a chill upon the room, and anyone there would soon find an exit. Feeling alienated once again, Martha retreated to her room, cloaking herself in that warm red blanket, as if to shut out the rest of the world. The intense isolation seemed to drive Martha from the melancholy to the bizarre, if not frightening. She began roaming the dormitory hall once again after lights out, randomly opened those doors as she normally did, up and down the hallway, scaring her mates, casting blank stares into the room, and patrolling the halls as if in a trance. One evening, after Martha had failed to attend any of her classes that day and had not been seen at any meals, her former roommate and dorm president decided to check on her. This was critical. When somebody gets quiet and they don't show up anymore, it's best to check on that person. As the president neared that room, in the girls' room, at the end of the corridor, she noticed a strange red glow emanating from Martha's transom. Upon opening that door cautiously, she found Martha dressed in a red robe and cloaked in a red bedspread, but she was lying on the floor in a pool of her own blood. Martha had slashed her wrists. She didn't think that she was needed to go on living after she lost the faith of the students and faculty of the college. The one-time transplant from New York was now dead in the Deep South because of her father's dead wishes. To this day, it is said that Martha's remains on the 4th floor of the Pratt Hall near where she died. Generations of Huntington students have claimed to have witnessed the ghostly apparition, Red Lady, making her way up and down those same halls, with sounds of doors opening and closing. Students claim that on the anniversary of Martha's death, the spooky activities seem to increase. Her ghost always appears on the night, and the strange red light glows from her former room. Now, although the building is no longer a dormitory, students all around the United States have allegedly reported seeing Martha's ghost on Pratt Hall's 4th floor, claiming to have seen it pass through the walls or close doors effortlessly. You see, now it's a tourist location. Many people travel all around the country just to see this. Some students and tourists alike who visit the area call out her name when visiting the 4th floor. Many female students have taken to wearing crimson colors in her memory. And wouldn't you guess? The one sports team in the school wears red uniforms. And the logo is red as well. Until we meet again for another ghost story, happy hauntings from the Men's Channel. We'll see you again.